Hello there, I am Metagross Freak, and today we're taking a look at Magic the Gathering's Chandra Planeswalker deck from the Dominaria set, or the Dominaria block. This is a red-green deck, so my primary colors for Magic. It includes, of course, a deck box, a 60-card deck, including the Chandra Bold Pyromancer card, and two 15-card Dominaria packs. Alright, so first and foremost, we have to take a look at the big bad card here, Chandra Bold Pyromancer. As you can see, she is a Planeswalker who starts off with 5 loyalty counters, and she costs 4 colorless and 2 red. Her +1 is add 2 red mana, and Chandra Bold Pyromancer deals 2 damage to target player. That's pretty cool. It's a pretty decent +1. It's a very red effect. Her -3 is Chandra Bold Pyromancer deals 3 damage to target creature or to Planeswalker, which is pretty nice. I don't personally see myself using that -3 very much, just because her -1, her +1 is arguably a lot better. But then that ult, that -7, Chandra Bold Pyromancer deals 10 damage to target player and each creature and Planeswalker they control. Considering she starts off with 5, you can just do her +1 twice and then -7 her to nuke the field. Meaning, in a way, she is a 3-turn. She's a nuke that only requires a 3-turn charge. It's a very cool card. Of course, here we have the deck box for the Chandra deck. You can see it's Chandra using her fire magic. She's got the Planeswalker symbol on the back, the name Chandra. This goes pretty well with the Nissa deck, or the Nissa deck, excuse me. If you remember the last time I did one of these deck reviews, I compared it to the Nissa deck. And you can see it's kind of the same idea. It's just a different color scheme and a slightly different logo on the top. Chandra is my 3rd favorite Planeswalker. Nissa, Ravane, of course, being my 1st favorite, followed by Xenagos. And so Chandra's cool. I like Chandra. So let's open up the deck and take a look-see, shall we? We have just a quick little, what do they call this? A strategy insert. Ooh, okay. Here we go. So we have nice full art of Chandra. It says, let's see here. Chandra Bold Pyromancer Chandra is a gifted fire mage trained by some of the multiverse's most powerful pyromancers. She relies on her fierce instincts to harness her inner flame on the field of battle. And then talks a little bit about +1/+1 counters. It talks a little bit about haste and about the ability Kicker. So based on that, I'm taking it that since if it uses a lot of Kicker, then abilities like Chandra's +2 red mana are going to be coming in handy because we'll be able to kick cards a lot to get bonus effects. It says, playing the deck. Chandra charges headfirst into battle armed with burn spells and backed by some of Dominaria's most massive creatures, using the burn spells to keep opposing creatures at bay while you build up your resources. Okay, so you basically you have a bunch of blockers to help protect you while you build a crap ton of mana. It says, when victory is near, Chandra can generate extra mana to help you summon a host of rampaging beasts to finish off the opponent. All right, I like it. It's a combination of some burn damage effects and some creatures that'll probably be able to rack up big damage from kickers and counters. I like it. Cool. Now, I will admit I don't know a lot about the Dominaria storyline, but I know Karn's in it, and Karn's pretty cool. He is my 4th favorite Planeswalker. And then we have a foil Belanish Honor Guard. Very nice looking foil. And our rare is Karzarov Pengear Pureblood, who is a legendary vampire with flying. Whenever a creature an opponent controls is dealt damage, put a 1/1 counter on Kazarov Sengir Pureblood. And then, and normally he costs 5 with 2 black, but if you pay 3 and 1 red, he just deals an additional 2 damage to target creature. So you're essentially, you can either just do damage in other ways, or you can pay a little bit of mana. You can pay 4 mana to deal 2 damage to a target creature, and then gain a 1/1 counter because of his effect. So that's actually some kind of good, some good synergy. I actually kind of like that as an ability, though I don't really use a lot of black cards in my deck. We got a plains, and look at that, a cool sapling. It's a 1/1 sapling. I think I finally have a sapling. I've been wanting to get a sapling token for a while, but I just didn't want to pay for one. Llanowar Scout. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Really nice. I actually would consider putting this in my landfall deck, since I can get free land drops. That's pretty nice. Stronghold Confessor. Blood Tallow Candle. Oh, that's really cool. It's a candle made of blood. That's neat. Bring me an angel feather, and I will give you 1 death in return. There can be no turning back once the candle is lit. Ooh, we have a Saga enchantment. I'll look at that last, because we have Zalfurin Void, which is a land that gives us colorless mana and lets us scry 1 when it enters the battlefield. And it doesn't even come in tapped. That's nice. Enters the battlefield, you automatically scry 1 and get to tap for gray mana. Huh. Okay, cool. We got a legendary sorcery is our rare here. We have Karn's Temporal Sundering. And this is one of the this is one of those cards that basically tells a little bit of story. Basically, it's showing us Karn being thrown through time as part of Urza's experiments. It's a legendary sorcery. Target player takes an extra turn after this one. Return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Exile Karn's Temporal Suffering. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I mean 6 mana in order to get an extra turn and to return a non-land permanent, presumably one of your opponents, to their hand, is pretty neat. It's nice. However, you can only control it if you can only play it, that is, if you have a legendary creature or a planeswalker. But, you know, that's not too hard, especially in EDH. Then we also get Grun the Lonely King, who is a ape warrior who kind of looks a little bit like Gorilla Grodd. He has Kicker 3. You may pay an additional 3 mana to cast the spell. If Grun the Lonely King was kicked, it enters the battlefield with 5 1/1 counters. Holy cow, so you can either pay 6 to get a 5/5, or pay 9 to get a 10/10. That is ridiculous. Whenever Grun attacks alone, double its power and toughness until end of turn. Holy cow, so it can, if you attack alone and you're willing to pay 9 mana, you can get a 20/20 for a single monster. Holy cow, that is really big. We got the island, of course. Nice looking island. Another sapling. Yo! And then Eldest Reborn, or the Eldest Reborn, is our enchantment, our saga enchantment, that is. As the saga enters, and after your draw step, add a lore counter, sacrifice after 3. Okay, so you play it, next turn you draw, gets one lore counter, second, and then 3. Costs 4 and 1 black mana, so 5 mana total. So the first turn you draw, and then each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. Okay. Second turn you draw, each opponent discards a card. Okay. And then third turn you draw and then put target creature or planeswalker from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. All right. So theoretically, you can sacrifice something and get something back. Really cool card. I like that. Let's take a look at the Bold Pyromancer deck. the Chandra Planeswalker deck. So this is I think it's a 60 card deck, yeah. 60 card deck, designed around based on, from what I can gather, it's based on mana ramp for burn spells, and 1/1 counters, and kicker abilities, so that's cool. Right, so first up we have a rare called Chandra's Outburst. For 5 mana, it deals 4 damage to target player or planeswalker. For 3 mana and 2 red, so 5 total, deals 4 damage to target player or planeswalker. Pretty nice. Search your library and or graveyard for a card named Chandra, Bold Pyromancer. Reveal it and put it in your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. Okay, that's pretty nice. You know, for 5 mana, we get to deal 4 damage, which is nice, and we can tutor for Bold Pyromancer. Not bad. Next up, we have Marwyn, the Nurturer. A really nice looking artwork of a elf druid, and she's legendary. She costs 2 gray and 1 green mana for 3 total. Flavor text I like: midwife to mothers and leader to all. You can see she's got a little baby, a little elf baby in her arms. And then whenever another elf enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on her. Pretty nice. And then, also you can tap to add an amount of green mana equal to Marwyn's power. As I've been considering making an elf deck, this would be actually pretty nice, and I suspect based on just this card alone that there's going to be a number of elves that we'll be able to look at. Next up we have, another Chandra's Outburst, really nice. Gilded Lotus for 5 mana. We get an artifact that gives us 3 mana of any one color, very nice. Llanowar Elves, who can tap to give us a green mana. Basically, it's kind of a classic 1/1 for 1 elf. Not amazing, but nice. We have Fame Druid, who is a 0/2 for 2. You can tap to add 1 green mana, or tap for 2 green mana, but we can only spend that mana to cast kicked spells. Interesting, okay. We have Gitu Chronicler, or I think it's Gitu Chronicler, a human wizard. What fire forged, fire remembers. A 1/3 for 2 with kicker 4, and Gitu Chronicler when Gitu Chronicler enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, return target sorcery or instant from your graveyard to your hand. Not too bad. It's you're paying 4 to regain an instant or sorcery, so not too bad. I think 4 is a little costly, but I mean it is a common, so it's no surprise that the kicker is a little less than amazing. We have Karplusan Hound, who is a 3/3 for 5. A 3/3 for 4. When Karplusan Hound attacks, if you control a Chandra Planeswalker, this creature deals 2 damage to any target. Okay, not bad, not bad. Got another one of those, Gaia's Protector, a 4/2 for 4. Gaia's Protector must be blocked if able. And this one's kind of interesting. Fallen Phyrexians were transmuted into elementals by Gaia long ago, but Yavimaya other inhabitants still regard them with unease. Well, that's kind of interesting. It's just it's a good bit of lore to tell us that the Phyrexians are maybe being reclaimed by other planes. It's kind of neat. Good little bit of flavor, and also kind of explains why maybe Karn is less mutated and a little more back on his purified side. We got another Grun, the Lonely King. So now if we wanted to, we could put another one of those in the deck from the cards we drew. I just love that artwork. It's lovely. Absolutely lovely. Look at that one. That one looks like it has a face, like right there. Wonder what that's supposed to be. Lots of forests. Then we get Shivan Fire. Fight with Fire is a sorcery that costs 3. It has a kicker 6. Fight with Fire deals 5 damage to target creature. pretty nice. 5 damage for 3 mana. That's pretty neat. If this spell is kicked, it deals 10 damage, divided as you choose among any number of targets instead. That is really nice. So it's for 3 damage. Sorry, excuse me. For 3 mana, you can deal 5 damage, or for 9 mana, so 3 times the cost, you deal double damage, but you can distribute it among multiple creatures. Actually, it says any number of targets, so that includes players and planeswalkers. This is a nice card. I'm definitely going to use that. And then we have, of course, 4 Timber Gorges to wrap up the deck. Timber Gorge is a red-green land. It's a dual-color land that enters the battlefield tapped, and you can add red or green. Not bad. Not bad at all. And then the little flavor text says, glaciers, torrential floods, and temporal disturbances came and went. The mountains yet stood unchanged. All right. Not a bad deck. I would want to play test it a little bit before I give my final judgment on it, and I'll see you in a couple minutes. So I've had enough time now to take a look at the bold Pyromancer deck, and I think I can make a solid judgment on it. Well, it has some really cool cards. There's also some cards it has that aren't so great. I tried taking a look at some cards that I could work into it by essentially taking out other cards, and I ended up basically just making an elf deck. This is essentially the almost completely unaltered Chandra deck. The only real difference is that I took out one of the Baelith Gorgers for, where is it? For one of the Grun Lonely Kings, mostly just because it's basically the same cost, or it's, that one is, what is it? That one's 8 mana for a 7/7, and this one is 9 mana for a 10/10, which that alone is better, but if it attacks alone, it becomes a 20/20. So I consider that to be a great upgrade. But other than that, I mean, it's got some great cards. Chandra, of course, is amazing. Get You Chronicler is pretty good, but it would be a lot better if we had, at minimum, 2 or 3 of these. In fact, I would be willing to have 4 Get You Chroniclers instead of the Pyromantic Pilgrims, because honestly, the ability to get back an instant or sorcery is just a lot better. It's not the best kicker effect, but it's just a better effect than just having haste. Grun isn't the best creature. It's a very, very green, reddish styled creature, and I like him. He's fun. And Chandra's Outburst is phenomenal. Fight with Fire is pretty nice. I really like this card. Pierce the Sky is useful. The Timber Gorges are pretty cool, and I love the artwork they have. Fame Druid would go great in a lot of elf decks, as would Marwyn the Nurturer. I definitely plan on making her like the centerpiece of an elf deck. And of course we got Llanowar Elves, who are just great. The Gilded Lotus is pretty nice. I mean, even these Carplussan Hounds, which, you know, it's a 3/3 for 4, but you're also dealing extra damage when you have a Chandra on the field. And this deck is designed to help protect Chandra while she just burns people to death. So, I mean, there's some good stuff in the deck, but there's a lot of bad stuff too. I just ended up finding that the more and more I ended up taking the bad out of the deck, the more it became essentially an elf deck. And that's not the purpose of the deck. So I think I'm going to look some more at the elves I have available, maybe see if I can work the elves in this deck into that deck, and then see if I can work Chandra into my EDH deck, because I think she'd be a little more at home in there. So I hope this was a good look over. I think if this is your very first look into Magic, if this is your very first deck, this is a good deck as your first deck, and it's a lot of fun. I didn't play test it in an actual card game, but I was just kind of doing some combos, seeing how it worked, and you can get some really nice damage out of this. It is fun. I just think it needs a little more work. Anyway, thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm MetaGrossFreak. See you next time.